I'm Ray Allegrezza with IFRA and Home News Now, and welcome to the latest edition of The Last Word. Today we have a very special guest, somebody I met recently, but honest to goodness, I feel like I've known her my whole life. Mary Domito, and she's the president and CEO of House Lifestyle. And I can't really even call it a store because it is so much more than a store, it's an experience. So with that, Mary, give us a little bit about your background and what led you to New Mexico and the store.
Sure, I'll try and make it real brief and bring you all the way from the back to the front here. Anyway, I'm originally from the San Francisco Bay Area. And in school, I just wanted to be an actress. And I went to San Diego State in the mid 70s, came home at Christmas and never went back. It wasn't fun. And found myself at my first sales job at the age of 19. And so for the next 8 years, I sold retail stereos back when it was fun, all the receivers, turntables. So I did that for 8 years. It was this, hourly or salary plus commission. So I used to a commission structure. So I did that for many years. And then I wanted to graduate in outside sales. So I know it sounds funny, but I went from tobacco working for, well, I worked for Food Broker, then Philip Morris Tobacco for a few years as a, retail, make sure the smokes are fresh and the new stuff's out. And did that for a while. Then from there, I went into the tequila business and worked for a small family importing company. Had a great experience, did that for a few years. And then found myself unemployed. And for about a year through the whole O.J. Simpson trial, I know everything about it. And then I was desperate. And I saw this ad, mattress discounters. You can earn 40,000 a year. And I thought, never again retail, never again retail, the hours, the holidays. But I was desperate. So anyway, long story short, in the mid 1995, I came on board mattress discounters and started in their San Francisco store. And the funny thing is, yeah, retail hours, and I thought I never wanted to do it again. I had so much fun from day one. I had no clue what selling mattresses was going to be like. I said, how many mattresses can you sell? Well, boy, in downtown San Francisco, you sure could sell a lot. And what I realized is after being unemployed for, the grass wasn't greener on the other side of the hill. And I got great training at mattress discounters. And that coupled with all the experience that I brought with me in these various positions just evidently lent themselves well. And it was at that time I reflected on the idea that maybe I didn't need to be an actor. What I needed to be was have a career or a job where I could express myself and, give a good performance with every customer and help people. And so I found selling mattresses to be really, really satisfying. And I also learned, that I wanted to move up. And so I got myself a mentor in the company, someone who I knew was on his way up. And I had many mentors. And to this day, my one boss at Mattress Discounters has become a dear friend and is still a mentor to me today. So long story short, became a district manager on my second anniversary with the company. First female. I don't know. Part of me says, why even bring it up? But, it is to allude to the fact that here women are making 70 to 75% of the purchasing decisions. And yet we have an industry that is really, really male dominated. And at the time, maybe it was one woman for every 15, guys. And so I was very proud and also proud of my superiors that said, let's do this and let's promote you to be the district manager. And I just happened to be the first female in the company's history. So that was back in 1997. Did that till 2002, and I went through some personal stuff and at the time, moved on and went to work for Mancini's Sleep World in the Bay Area. I did not want management anymore because I knew I was at a juncture in my life. I was in my mid 40s and I thought, it's time for me to find out what does Mary want? What's going to make her happy? I was, nothing tying me down, no partner, no kids. So I found out an old friend was in Taos, New Mexico, and I had only heard of it. I just heard it was this cool place. in northern New Mexico where the people were nice. There were still kind of hippies there, and it was just really beautiful. And so I went for a week to visit my friend and fell in love with Taos and came back the next year. And by the time I left that vacation, it was like, I have to live here. And I can't articulate it, Ray. It was just, I had to live here. So now what am I going to do? I don't have a lot of money, blah, blah, blah. Um, and, but, you know, I knew how to sell mattresses. So that's pretty much what I did. I had a starter home in Vacaville, California, and I put it on the market and pretty much took every little bit of equity, everything I owned, got lucky enough to get a little $60,000 SBA loan in New Mexico and got an inexpensive little condo. And I arrived not knowing a soul. My friend had moved on by then. So, but I knew I was home. I was home. And so, you know, it wasn't strategically picking Taos to open a business. It was, how can I live in Taos? And I did some homework and decided that I think maybe the town could support a dedicated sleep shop. And I also knew, and this was really great training I'd gotten from being in middle management and running 17 stores and getting to ride along on site selection and learn, you know, location and all that stuff. It was very educational, and it served me very well in going into business for myself. So I knew Taos was 90 minutes away from the next big, you know, where you had to go to buy a mattress. And the funny thing is, there were 5 little stores in Taos where you could buy a mattress, but they were all like just mom and pop, still in the plastic, leaning up against. And, you know, so I talked to some realtors and I said, where do you go when you need a mattress? And they're like, oh, you got to go to Santa Fe or Albuquerque. Well, that's 90 minutes and 2.5 hours away. And that's kind of when I had my aha moment. And all I wanted was to have a little shop so I could live in Taos, New Mexico, and sell a few mattresses and do it the right way with everything I had learned. And I knew that if I stocked the inventory, that, you know, I could pretty much own the market. It's a small market, a very large geographical area, serving approximately 48,000 people. And so, you know, that's what I did. And that was 21 years ago. And that's how I got started. And in the last almost 21 years now, I've opened 7 stores, basically, you know, whether it's relocating, rebranding, consolidating. I may be rambling, so that's how I did get to Taos.
All right. So now with the current store, what was your vision? Obviously, you didn't want to be a dirty window store with mattresses, you know, just piled anywhere. I heard you say once that your philosophy to life and business are kind of interchanged, that if it ain't fun, you're not doing it right. So,
Okay, yeah, we'll fast forward to today. You know,
all
so
right.
almost 3 years ago, I was lucky enough to buy the property after renting almost across the street for 18 years. So I bought this 24,000 square foot property. I'm already selling furniture and mattresses, and it's a unique shape. You know, it has some elevation changes, certain things you got to work with. So what am I going to do here? I've got all this real estate. It has to pay for itself. And what am I going to do for the community? I've got the furniture, which expanded a little, the mattress store. And I thought, you know, we don't buy those things that often. So I need to drive more traffic. And so I thought this part of town could really use a unique gift shop. And then in addition to a gift shop, which I made the primary entrance, the only way you can get in the store is to come through the gift shop first. And then you flow to the right to the mattress department, flow to the left to the furniture department. And then we also, because live music, as you know, is a passion of mine, is I created a first quality professional live event music concert venue in the store. And it's very flexible, and we can hold standing room only up to 200 people and sit down around 130. And we have national touring artists come through. We have great local bands. I'm very particular about who I let play here because it's a reputation I work very hard to cultivate. And I want people to know that they haven't heard of these young national touring artists that are phenomenally talented. It's like, I just want to know that if Mary's bringing them, I haven't heard of them, but I know they're going to be good. So I have to work hard to live up to that. And that's just part of everything that we do at Taos Lifestyle, and personalize it. And since I bought this building, it was an empty shell. And so, you know, you can't do much when you rent, but owning it, we had to tear it apart. It was a restaurant. And so in doing so, I was really able to make it my own and put my own DNA in it. And I do have a motto, which is on some mugs that we used to sell. I have to order more. And if we're not having fun, we're not doing it right. And that's my motto. And so the gift shop's driving a lot more traffic. And then in October, we found out the only person selling appliances in our town, unfortunately had a stroke and passed away. And there's a huge void. There used to be two places where you could buy appliances. So it was like, okay, if anybody's going to do it, we need to do it. So, this could be the thing that really helps us in bad times and also just helps us continue to grow. And most important, serve the community that right now are driving a long distance to buy a washer, So that's the latest and greatest.
So how has the store changed in 21 years? I know there's a lot of iterations and different sorts. And how have you changed it? What has the store taught you, and what have you reinvested into the store in terms of ideas or community? I mean, you guys are doing so many remarkable things that other retailers just don't do, which is why I was so very anxious to speak with you.
Okay, well, thank you. I would say from the very beginning, I knew that my store, I don't know if you can see this. This is where it all began. Okay,
Sleep
my design
Sanctuary.
company, Sleep
Mhm.
Sanctuary is the corporate name, and it was the name of my sleep shop. I was just a mattress store, but what I did that was different is I put every dime I had in the world into making it beautiful because I knew I was only going to go this way once. And I was going to make it the most beautiful sleep shop. I mean, I had a river of blue carpeting and beige beach carpeting and then a brown and alder wood cabinets. And because my philosophy was that when you're in my store, you might see the same $3.99 mattress in another store, but it was going to look like more in my store because it was elevated just by the beauty of the store. And I wanted to create a store knowing it's primarily women that when you came in, you wanted to spend some time. It was an environment you wanted to hang out in. So from the day I opened my business, that's always been part of my ethos. And, you've got to do something extra. We've got the big box and then we've got us. And so, golly, as far as being a part of the community, I did not know a soul when I arrived. And I mean that. I did not know one person. I knew, and it was just me, myself, and I doing this. And I went to everything. Taos Entrepreneurial Network meetings. Chamber of Commerce joined it immediately. Looked at all my surrounding areas, Red River, Angel Fire, joined every single one of the Chamber of Commerces. I was younger then. I went to the clubs. I met people. I got out and made myself circulate. And I'd say and I started, of course, as we did 20 years ago with print and radio when it was simpler times. And about 6 months in, I decided I'd earned the right to do my own voiceovers. And that's about the time I started calling myself Mattress Mary. And that actually, it's funny. Mattress Mac and I both know who each other are. We don't know each other, but I was Mattress Mary before I knew there was a Mattress Mac. I will say that. My girlfriends back in San Francisco started calling me that when I got into business back in '95. And I thought, wow, Sleep Sanctuary is kind of confusing to some people. And I need to hammer home what we're doing here for a living. And Mattress Mary is, you're not going to forget it. And you're just, the double entendre. I'm kind of a irreverent sort of person. And it fit me. And so I started doing all my voiceovers and in all our ads. Hi, this is Mattress Mary. So for 21 years, this public, that's all they heard. I am Mattress Mary. Okay. I am, between that and the billboards, I'm known. So let's just put it at
Talk
that.
to me a little bit about some of the billboards. Tell me a little about, give the listeners who may not have seen some of the billboards, because they're funny, they're provocative. Just give me a couple of examples.
I think the most successful one to date, and I have two of them. I have them coming in from the north and the south. Only one way to get into our town, and it's the same billboard, cleverly created by my creative director, who happens also to be a salesman for the person for the company. But what we have going now, it's always been my face. So my face is recognizable. So it's a recent photo shoot with me with a little smirk on my face. And it just says more than a good lay. And underneath it, it says furniture, mattresses, appliances, gifts, house lifestyle, and then my face. And people come up to me almost every day and say, oh my gosh, I just drove by your billboard and I just busted up laughing. That is the funniest thing ever. Thank you for making my day. And it's super catchy. A week ago, I have a lady who's already written the editor of the paper, the town councilors, and the mayor, and she just thinks it's perverse, and I just think it's working really well. So we're having fun, and I got a little flack when I called myself Mattress Mary back in the day too. But as I told one person, my name's Mary and I sell mattresses. So if that still bothers you, it sounds like a personal problem.
Well, yeah, maybe the councilwoman needs a new mattress or something, but anyway, let me segue for a moment. In your opinion, you've dealt with a lot of the bedding suppliers and the furniture suppliers and now appliance. What makes a supplier invaluable to someone like you?
Got to be able to get the product. They have to give me the margins I need as an independent and be able to deliver and, have done their homework with the freight. There's a lot of vendors out there that, not a lot, but there's a few out there still that I'm always surprised that they put the freight onto the account. Maybe some accounts can handle it, but, the more service you deliver to me and say, we've got guaranteed freight rates and product that's great value. I toyed with the entry level brand, remain nameless, but the real entry level. I toyed with that. Everything broke. People were unhappy. Took forever to build it. The ROI on something that's $150 for it, and it just nobody was happy. So I've got that starting point, which is right around Lazy Boy and up. So if we say, I don't know if I'm so show up, communicate. The greasy wheel or the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And I am inclined to do more business with you if you show up. And when you do show up, train. I used to be a corporate trainer too, and I just can't do it anymore in my store. For me, it's about snippets of wisdom, digest these things at a time. Occasionally, I like bringing in people from the outside to get a lot more credibility with my staff than I do. So, but that's why the reps are invaluable. They know their product inside and out. And when they
That was
show
my next question. Yeah.
when they have to show up to train, I have one of our vendors we've had a 18-year relationship with showing up, actually probably ongoing right now for training out there. And it's fabulous because we see the impact and they do too. We were lost for a while with this company, if we want to keep them nameless, but because they went through a lot of changes. And so we lost our confidence in the product and found ourselves selling another brand that was working well for us. It was competitive. And then this person comes down and says, you need to be trained because we've got so many changes. We know it's been a tough year or two. And then everybody got detailed changes, the difference between the models, the price points, everything. And sales just shot up 3 to 4 times overnight almost. It's powerful. And so, yeah, I think the most valuable thing that a rep can do is show up and train. And yes.
Good. Let's broaden it a little bit. You've been in the industry a long time, as have I. Kind of what can we do as an industry better? What can this industry do better? I mean, there's probably a lot of things, but if you had to pick 1 or 2 things that you really think we as an industry could improve on, what would they be?
We're talking about the industry as a whole, furnishing mattresses. I think furnishings is, you know, I'll leave it to the furnishings company to try and figure out how to do what they do best. If I had saw obvious room for improvement, it'd be in the bedding industry. Um,
What would you tell them?
so much quality is being taken out of the product, and so I suppose we can apply that to some degree. Uh, yeah, real quick with furnishings, there are companies out there, they sell you the product, and then when it comes time to needing a part or something went wrong and it's obviously the manufacturer's responsibility, it's not really the retailer, it was new. Sometimes it can seem like pulling teeth to get satisfied, to get recompensated. So I work on the service component after the sale with some of the furnishings. And with mattresses, I just think, you know, the bedding industry has just hurt itself. And smoke and mirrors and promising the moon. And when you get to be as old as I am and stay in the business long enough as you've been in even longer, you see that you're in long enough that generational change has occurred. And it's really exciting to see what the young men and women. It's nice to see a rise of women. We're still nowhere close to where we need to be, but you know, I'm seeing, you know, franchises and chains and how people are responding to other things that are happening in the industry. But the more I look at it, the more it feels just like it did 30 years ago, but putting a new veneer on it, you know, and calling
Yeah.
it home something fancy, and maybe there's a little new technology, but really, I like to reduce it to common sense when I talk to customers, and oftentimes I get the chance to still be on the sales floor. And you just look at the customers, and this isn't brain surgery. There's only so many ways you can make a mattress. And just talk simple instead of glossing all over all the funny thing, you know. If you've been in the industry, you know, there's certain companies that will remain nameless, okay? They have this shiny new name for this brand new phone. Oh, it was the same stuff they were using 10 years ago. You know, just that kind of stuff. And if a good mattress is going to cost a certain amount, it's going to cost a certain amount. And this is how it's made. Um, I'm as the pie is split, you know, it was just the 3S brands when I got in the business, right?
Yeah.
Oh, how simple, how simple. And then, of course, we know what happened, right? Bed and box, everything else proliferating, new generation of kids, millennials, Gen Zs, all coming up. There's no brand equity anymore. I've sampled it, I've tried, I've tested it. And to me, and maybe elsewhere, but I'm in this little isolated mountain market, and I really set the tone from day one that I was going to be the brand, and I was the tastemaker, and I was the one that was going to tell you what was good for you, and you buy it. At least that's what I would hope for, and I would procure the best.
Yeah.
But big names were important, but they're just not anymore. And for me, I'm seeing fewer door swings, as they say. And Taos is growing, but it's a small town. There is not room for two players. Big Chain wanted to come in a few years ago, and then they go, no, Mattress Mary's there. It's not big enough. We're not going. And so I, you know, pretty much got rid of some of the bigger brands because my research showed me there are independent family-owned companies and equity companies, but much smaller. And there's good margins out there, and there is great product out there. And so if you're starting out or still kind of new in the business, you know, I would say brand yourself. Don't be afraid to step out. And I know we all have different personalities, and some of us don't want to step out, but find something that makes you special. And you don't always need to be what the big guy is. Maybe you do, but maybe you don't, you know, because if you believe in a product, and you can have more diversity. And I'm a little stubborn, and as I've gotten a little older, and you know, to have the courage to say, you know, don't tell me how many I have to. Yes, you have to put fair assortment on the floor. That's just good merchandising. But when they start to tell you what you're doing with your square footage, and you don't want to do it, and you play by the rules and you go, okay, I'll try it for a while. And then you go to market and you see compelling product. And you go, the only way I can make room for that compelling product where I can tell a differentiating story is I got to lose some stuff.
Absolutely.
And then you find out when you're at market, one of the good things at market is talking to your friends and colleagues. And you tell your story of your experience. And they tell you a story where, oh, certain concessions were made to them. Oh, so the absolute fact that you have to do this, and then find that they're not being consistent. Principles come into play here. These are relationships, and relationships are the most important things. So we talk about reps, whether it's furniture or mattresses. These are relationships. We all have choices. There's so much out there we can buy, so much. Just be true to yourself and put a lot of value in your relationships and go after if you know the quality is good, and make sure you get good margins because they're out there. There's great.
Absolutely. Good. Well, you sort of just led into my next question. I was going to say, technology plays a growing role in our industry and in the world in general. And we're exchanging a lot of information and product information and data and specs through technology. Given that, are the trade shows still as important now as they were when you first got in the business? I know you just mentioned the sharing information and networking. I mean, that's a component that we don't talk about a lot. We don't say trade show product, but it's also trade show information back and forth between other retailers. Yes?
Absolutely. Trade shows are critical. You have to touch it. You have to lay on it. You meet your colleagues. You meet different vendors. You have to see what's out there. I completely changed my floor up, a couple of years ago, or less than 2 years ago, by going to market. My decisions were made there, very compelling. And I had the ability to bounce from showroom to showroom and do comparisons, talk to people, make deals, learn a lot. So absolutely. For me personally, because my mantra is having fun, I love going to market. It's an excuse to get out of the store. You eat well and, have fun, go to a concert or a show. But I'm planning my exit one day, and I have to look at my numbers, and I have to be mindful, as important as markets are, what am I hoping to achieve? I need to achieve something. So, whether it's High Point, which I go to usually once a year, I just made the decision to not go in April. We've got our lines. I'm not going to spend $4,000 or $5,000 to go there for 6 nights and not really have a target. For me, I'd rather hold on to that money. So I pick and choose my spots. I definitely go to at least one Vegas market a year. I'll probably go to summer since I chose to take a vacation over the winter market instead. But yeah, that's important. Mattresses are such an important part of our business. So we really have to stay on top of that. So firmly believe in markets.
All right, good. We're coming near the end of the time, so I want to ask you this one quickly. Tell me your short and long-term outlook for the business, for your business and our industry.
Well, until right now, it's really soft.
Yeah.
And when I do talk to reps and colleagues, etc., we tend to hear it's the same. Whatever's happening is happening kind of everywhere. We do have a thing here in Taos. It's a tourist town, and things like the recession started later here, and we come out of things a little later. But January and February were really soft right now, and appliances are helping. So the short-term prognosis is, I think, a real unknown. I think there's a lot of things that are happening right now, and that have never happened before. And I'm not sure we all know how we're reacting to them. And so some of the people I've talked to are kind of saying the same thing. So short term, I don't know what the heck's going on. But we just got to scrape and scramble for everything we can get. And I definitely know my numbers are down and people coming through the door. And, one thing I've learned years ago, you can only control what you can control. I can't do any more advertising. I'm always looking at it. But at the end of the day, you got to take that customer. You got to get them the best stuff, add on the ticket, make sure they got everything they wanted, get more margin out of what you're selling. that's going to be the key to survival for a lot of independents. And long term, we're in the right industry. We'll always be okay because of what we sell. And definitely, if you're a furniture retailer and you're not taking mattresses seriously, that's always been the little secret.
Yeah.
Furniture was more glamorous. I have my days, Ray, where it's like, I wish I was still just selling mattresses. It was so much more profitable. And now I got all this furniture and, it's tougher, it's more challenging. But, it's pretty nice being the one-stop shop for your entire home. And we're it in Taos, New Mexico. And I'm very proud of that.
Gotcha. All right. Now, this next question is not to, suggest in any way any duplicity on your part, but who's Mattress Mary when nobody's looking?
Oh, she's a nut. She's a nut. She's on stage all the time in the public. Because seriously, yes, it's like that a bit. So I have to recharge my batteries. And the first 15 years, I was out and about all the time, and I like to go listen to live music and hang out and meet up with people. I did find my first and final husband. We've been married almost 19 years now, a wonderful artist. And I like hanging out with him and our rescue dog. And I am a fervent San Francisco 49ers fan and San Francisco Giants fan. And I can say I'm old enough to have seen Willie Mays and Willie McCovey and Hank Aaron play at Candlestick Park. So I have a little bit of a tomboy in me, athlete. So it's fun to watch Caitlin Clark and these women, really making their mark on sports. So I do enjoy that a lot, and hiking. It's just beautiful here. And I haven't done enough of that lately. But we love to go out by the Rio Grande Gorge, which is just stunning. And then we have the mountains. And then Santa Fe is 90 minutes away. A lot of culture down there. And just hanging out, resting. And
Nothing wrong with that. It sounds good.
And yes, music, music, music. We do about 3 to 4 shows a month in our venue. And I always, of course, have to be here, and I enjoy it. That's why it's been really fun getting to know you and your love of music as well.
Absolutely. All right. Well, in keeping with the name of this podcast, because we're just about out of time, it's called The Last Word. So, Mayor, I'm giving it over to you. Any last thoughts or any last things you'd like to say?
Well, it's been a privilege, and the icing on the cake is getting to know you, Ray. And, I don't know if anything I said made sense or inspired anybody out there or was even worth hanging out in the middle of a busy day, but I've enjoyed it. It's good practice for me. But it's all going to be okay. And we just put one foot in front of the other, and don't forget to have fun. Don't forget to take some time for yourself, and don't forget to always not worry about where the money's coming from, but just take care of the customer, and the money will follow.
Perfect. Mary, Mattress Mary Domito, you are a keeper. You are an asset to the industry. Thank you for making time. Our paths are going to cross sooner or later. And I look forward to meeting you in person one day and seeing you soon. And thank you for doing this with me.
Well, thank you for even thinking of me. It's been a privilege and an honor and a whole lot of fun, Ray. And I look forward to getting you out here. We'll see a show together.
That sounds great. All right, I'm going to sign off. You take care, stay well, and keep the music pumping, Mayor. Thank you.
Right on. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.